Welcome to Creepin' It Real. I am Judah. Once again, I dive into Korean cinema and watch the action horror film Project Wolf Hunting. Everything goes awry, and even the slightest paper cut will induce gallons of blood. Full disclosure, I've never had a hunting knife slashed across my face. I've never had handcuffs bashed into my skull. And I've never been shot. So I don't actually know how much blood occurred from these things, but it does seem a little over the top in this movie. But hang on for just 1 second and let's get this trailer out of the way. We're going to stop here for just 1 second. This character right here with all these tattoos, right in the front, the orange shirt on, I hated him from the very moment I met him in this movie. Couldn't stand him, wanted to see him die immediately.
주모, 식사는 하루에 2번, 화장실은 하루 1번. 너희들이 잔대가리 굴려서 빠져나가 진짜 배 아니다. 조용히 좀 가자.
여기 한국 가고 싶은 생각 있어?
When I was watching this, I was kind of thinking maybe this movie is almost like a mix between that old Steven Seagal movie, Under Siege, mixed with Resident Evil 3, Nemesis. But this morning I rewatched the trailer for The Siege, and other than this occurring on a boat and things kind of being taken over by people that shouldn't be taking over the ship. I'm sorry for all of you out there who may go crazy over me mislabeling this, the ship. There really isn't a whole lot of similarities. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of just pausing and talking trash just so that I don't get a copyright claim on this.
니들도 배 운전할 수 있지.
다 뒤져 이 새끼들아!
If you didn't notice, that is where the Nemesis correlation comes in. At some point, this unrelenting enemy emerges to hunt down all STARS members. I want to start off by saying I actually enjoy this movie. The synopsis, I don't know if you fully gathered what was going on there from me pausing and interjecting throughout the trailer. There are a large number, maybe 50 or so, criminals that are being transported from the Philippines to South Korea. Now, I didn't know this. The Philippines and South Korea have a strong bond. Philippines were the first to send troops to assist in the Korean War. They sent troops over to South Korea to help them. So there's a strong bond between them, because immediately I was like, why is South Korea going over to the Philippines and transporting criminals? It made no sense to me. But now that I know there's such a strong connection in the real world, it makes a little more sense. So they're going over there to transport all these criminals from the Philippines back to Korea, I guess, to prosecute them or to carry out their sentence. I don't know. Anyway, their idea, their best thought is, let's put them on this huge shipping container ship, and let's boat them back to Korea. Good on Korea for not spending wastefully. Here in the States, man, we wouldn't see this as an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. We'd be like, oh, let's just raise people's taxes and we'll waste more taxpayer money. But here, Korea's like, okay, we're already sending the ship filled with criminals to South Korea. We also have this secret project. Let's hide that in the below decks and let's send that at the same time, thereby saving money for the taxpayers of Korea. That is what we need in the States. We need people thinking ahead. We need to be killing two birds with one stone here. We got this mass amounts of criminals being shipped. We also have the secret kind of government conspiracy type experiment going on in the belly of the ship, and it's all headed to Korea. What could go wrong? Well, let me tell you. Some of the people, the criminals on this ship, they have other ideas. They make their escape. They start killing everybody, these criminals. They kill all the cops that are there in their vicinity, and they stack them in this freezer. Now, there's a drain in this freezer, which it makes sense because if you have a big walk-in freezer, if you have to defrost it, that water has to go somewhere. You got to have it drain. But wouldn't you know it, that drain is somewhat cracked, and all that blood is now dripping onto this secret experiment that is hidden in the belly of this ship. Storyline is a little light on this. I don't know how, but somehow a drop of blood dropping on this secret experiment in the basement wakes this thing up, even though moments before they injected it with something that was supposed to keep it asleep. Spoilers, this creature wakes up, starts indiscriminately killing, just like the prisoners were, runs into this group of cops and criminals that are fighting, and he just starts ripping people's arms, legs, heads off, throwing people around, busting them against walls. I mean, nobody's safe. This tattooed guy, at one point, I think he's about to make his escape. He has himself a big old machine gun. He's just running away, sacrificing everybody, pushing people behind him to stop this monster that's following after him. And I'm like, come on, this guy's going to get away? I was really frustrated. But no, this monster pursues him and gets a sledgehammer, grabs the dude by the arm, and just whoopoosh, arm right off, and then totally just smashes his head to oblivion, nothing left. And granted, as I mentioned, I was thrilled because I hated this guy. He was a piece of trash, and I wanted him dead. And I was like, yay! But then I was like, oh, no, he's dead now. Who do I root for to die? If you haven't already picked up on the spoilers, me telling you this asshole dies, everyone in this movie dies. Don't become attached to a single character because every single one of them dies. As I mentioned, this movie is very bloody. According to the director, 2.5 tons of blood were used throughout the production of this film. And let me tell you, it makes sense. There was a lot of blood. Is this movie high art? By no means. By no means at all. But the production was on par, man. I mean, the lighting was spectacular. The acting was whatever. I've discussed in other movies that Korean film cinema is often slapsticky and can be over the top. The acting can be, and that was in here. But I still enjoyed this movie a lot. One of the very cheesy things about this movie, somehow this cop, even though he's not, a super soldier or anything, he can withstand just a little bit more. And he bites this alpha character's arm off. He bites his arm off. Did I mention that he bites his arm off? And then he makes some kind of comment of like, I know I was going to die, but the boys would never forgive me if I didn't at least take an arm. And I was like, this is so dumb. The guy was getting bashed in the head. He'd get bashed in the head, and he'd get back up, and he'd just latch back onto that guy's arm. And then he'd get bashed in the head again, and he's all, blood splurting out. And then he'd get back up and his arm, and until he just bit this dude's arm right off. It was absurd. It was absurd. And I am not too proud to say that it was absurd, and I am not too proud to say that I still enjoyed this movie. I was entertained. I would recommend this to certain people, but not to everyone. This is not an intelligent horror movie. You will see an interview that will come out soon. I talked to Jamie Langlands, the director of a film called The Cellar, and we discuss his movies, The Cellar, and another movie that's coming out, The R.I.P. Man. And we're kind of talking about horror genres, subgenres, and what we prefer. the topic of Terrifier came up. And as you all know, my stance on Terrifier, that's garbage. He agreed with me. And I mentioned how I like intelligent horror. This movie flies fully in the face of that statement. This is not intelligent horror. This is absurdity horror. It just blood everywhere. Everybody dies. Monster dies. There's no reason, nobody to root for. It's all absurdity, but I enjoyed it. I would probably give this a 6 out of 10. Still just a whatever kind of movie. This is not something I would run out to the cinema and watch. If you can find it some streaming service like Prime, I think I watched it on Prime, where you don't have to pay extra money for it, I would definitely give it this a go. Project Wolf Hunting, that's 2022 is when that came out. Give it a go if you're into absurd action horror films, and let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have watched more than one of my videos, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, share, if you like it. And I also would love to engage with you through the comment sections. Thanks for giving me this time, and I'll see you again later.